Pep Guardiola faces awkward Manchester City decision as 3 key players could be dropped. Manchester City are set to find their injury issues easing after the international break, but it could present Pep Guardiola a selection problem. Squad size has been a recurring topic of debate inside Manchester City over recent months. After accepting he needed more players after an injury crisis derailed last season, Pep Guardiola cooled on the idea a little during the summer. The argument last season was that a schedule that demanded more from players than ever before made Guardiola's usual desire for a squad light on numbers an unnecessary risk. But then came the transfer window, and as the squad's size increased, Guardiola expressed concern at having to tell players they were being left out. That has always been his primary concern with having a group he considers to be too big. In the end, City probably struck a happy medium, and it hasn't caused any issues so far, but with a clean bill of health for the squad potentially in sight, Guardiola might have some of those tough decisions to make sooner rather than later. City currently have 21 first-team squad members fit and available for selection, including third-choice goalkeeper Marcus Bettinelli and midfielder Calvin Phillips, with 4 more unavailable. That quartet are Abdoukadir Kusanov, Ryan Ait-Nouri, Rodri and Omar Marmoush, but all 4 could return after this international break. Kusanov, Ait-Nouri and Marmoush have been eyeing a return soon after the October break for a while, and Rodri insisted the injury that forced him off against Brentford wouldn't sideline him for more than 2 weeks. A fully fit squad would give Guardiola 25 senior players, although that number can at least be trimmed to 23 by Bettinelli, who knows his status as third-choice goalkeeper, and Phillips, who might be relying on the Carabao Cup 4th round tie at Swansea for another game. Even still, 23 players would then be competing for selection in a 20-man Premier League squad. It leaves 3 fall guys every weekend, and Guardiola would have to decide who they are. Let's be honest, the days when every member of that squad is available for selection will be rare, but at the moment, it does at least seem to be a distinct possibility sometime this month, so who would miss out? Ait-Nouri's return could put pressure on Nico O'Reilly, although the 20-year-old's form and versatility make him a likely squad member, allied to the fact he has made the senior England squad this week. If Kusanov is back fit as well, then Nathan Ake would surely drop out, given the defensive options in reserve. In midfield, it could be that Kovacic drops out. The Croatian is yet to play this season after Achilles surgery in the summer. Rodri, Nico Gonzalez, Tijani Reinders, Bernardo Silva, Ryan Cherki and Phil Foden offer plenty of cover in that area in a matchday squad, while Rico Lewis and O'Reilly can also play there. Finding room for Marmoush is probably a little more difficult. Guardiola will be reluctant to leave out Jeremy Doku or Savinho. Oscar Bob was impressive in the win against Brentford, but could be the player to make way entirely. Alternatively, Guardiola could cut one of his spare right-backs. If Kusanov returns to start in that role, City would have John Stones as cover, as well as Lewis and Matthias Nunes. If he wanted more attackers in the squad, one of Lewis or Nunes could make way. There are certainly options there for Guardiola, but if it ever gets to the point where he needs to leave some senior players out of a matchday squad in the Premier League, those conversations won't be easy for him either. Manchester City get major partner boost amid 115 charges verdict wait. Manchester City business continues to grow as the wait goes on for the verdict into their alleged Premier League breaches. Manchester City have announced a new deal with long-term partner Rexona, hours after striking up a new US partnership with Paramount. Unilever brand Rexona, a deodorant which is also known around the world as Sure, Degree, Shield and Rexina, first linked up with City in 2018 to sponsor the men's team before expanding in 2020 to include the women's team. The latest deal will keep Rexona as a global partner until the end of the 2026/27 campaign. Benjamin Curtis, global brand vice president for Rexona, said, "Manchester City represents the highest standards of performance and consistency, qualities that reflect everything Rexona stands for. We're excited to continue this partnership with a club that never lets up and together bring fans closer to the action through products and experiences they can count on, built on a promise that won't let them down." On Tuesday, it was announced that City were working with Paramount on a US media collaboration. as the club aims to continue its growth in one of the major global markets. Combining with the home of Champions League football in that market is seen as a way of keeping and enhancing engagement for the Blues. Both deals show City moving forward, as when they agreed a new kit deal with long-term sponsors Puma in July 2025, that will be the most lucrative in Premier League history. The club have stood accused of the most serious breaches of Premier League rules for over 3 years now. A hearing took place in the last months of 2024 to consider the evidence, and a verdict is heavily anticipated but has still not arrived. With the evidence completely secret, the footballing world have been desperate for any clues that could be gleaned from the way City and the Premier League have operated in this time. City, who have insisted on their innocence from the start, have acted like normal since they were first charged. And the accusations have not stopped them from getting more business, either from existing partners such as Rexona or new collaborations such as Paramount. Rejecting Manchester United and wonder goals, Nico O'Reilly's stunning rise from Man City Academy to England. Nico O'Reilly could make his England debut tonight after just 10 Premier League starts for Manchester City, but his talent has always been clear. When he was 8, Nico O'Reilly had a decision to make. After catching the eye of scouts from all of the Northwest's biggest clubs while playing for Moston Tigers and Failsworth Dynamos, he had whittled it down to a list of 2. Casting aside Liverpool and Everton's interest, O'Reilly was now making a decision between Manchester City and Manchester United. He had trained with all 4 clubs, but this was time to finally commit. He had begun playing aged 3 or 4 and would play for as many grassroots clubs as he could. But when he got to under 8s and under 9s, the Premier League competition for him was fierce. I chose City because the training was a lot better, he explained to the Man City podcast recently. And it's a decision that has worked out for both O'Reilly and his boyhood club. The 20-year-old is from a family of split allegiances in Manchester, but his mum and sister were Blues, and so is he. He is undoubtedly City's breakout star of 2025. At the turn of the year, his first team experience amounted to a debut in the Community Shield at Wembley, 2 Carabao Cup starts, and 9 minutes off the bench in a Champions League rout against Sparta Prague. He came on for Erling Haaland that day, and his future seemed to lie further up the pitch. But this might just be the year that changes everything. O'Reilly might still fancy himself as the attacking midfielder who used to prize open games in the academy, but now his country and his club could have other ideas. In the build-up to the 8-0 FA Cup third-round win against Salford City in January, Pep Guardiola told O'Reilly that he would play at left-back, and he has barely looked back since. His England call-up this week came after just 10 Premier League starts and confirmed that Thomas Tuchel currently sees him as a full-back. It has been hard, adapting, but things are starting to click together, and I'm starting to play the way I know I can play. But as I say, there still is a lot more to come, O'Reilly said after signing a 5-year contract at the club last month. I grew up always being in the box, scoring goals, and it's what I enjoy doing. So whenever I get an opportunity, I'm going to try and take them. Obviously, the way we play at City, I'm allowed to go high, I'm allowed to go inside, and it's a bit freer out wide. So as long as someone is in those positions and the manager's happy, there are definitely chances for me to get in those positions. He enters the England squad after 7 successive starts at left-back, with Rayan Ait-Nouri out through injury, and there is little doubt that his presence on the pitch makes City a better team. O'Reilly can't recall playing left-back during his academy days, and the respected stats website Transfermarkt backs that up. He was the attacking midfielder with an eye for goal and an assist. Playing for the under-18s, he managed 21 goals and 17 assists in 46 appearances and captained City to that title in 2022/23. The spring of 2023 was when he started to make a name for himself, scoring an outrageous scorpion kick against Middlesbrough to win a game in the 95th minute before netting twice against Manchester United, including a 40-yard lob. It marked O'Reilly out as a preciously gifted number, 10, a position he played for England at age group level. So it's fair to say he never saw the transformation into a potential England left-back coming. But academy players have to be ready to take whatever first-team opportunities come their way. O'Reilly's real breakthrough moment might have been at Bournemouth at the end of March. when he came off the bench at half-time to turn an FA Cup quarter-final back in City's favour. At full-time, Guardiola and his teammates forced him to take the acclaim of the travelling fans. It was an unforgettable moment. I didn't even know what to think at the time. But yeah, I loved it, and obviously I hear all the chants and stuff, and it's such a good feeling, he said. I'm just a kid from Manchester, and I grew up here. So to play for my boyhood club, my dream club, and hear the fans give me support like that, it means so much. On the pre-season tour of the United States in 2024, Guardiola actually spoke about using O'Reilly to fill in for Rodri, praising his physicality. Wow, this guy is big, was the City boss's first thoughts on the youngster when he stepped up to senior training. Rodri ended up missing most of that season through injury, but O'Reilly's calling was to fill a different gap in this City side. A square peg in a round hole initially, he is now so comfortable an England debut could await at Wembley tonight. Premier League chiefs, expecting verdict on hearing into Manchester City charges this month. Manchester City and the Premier League are awaiting a verdict on the charges directed at the club after it was alleged they breached financial rules over a 9-year period. Senior Premier League figures are said to be expecting a decision over Manchester City's 115 charges to land at some point this month. A 12-week hearing